Hello, Dalek. Welcome back to season 4 of the Dharma sharing from the Jewel Ornament of Liberation by Lord Gampopa. I would like to thank you very much for participating in this Dharma sharing season 4. As always, it is very wonderful that we are still trying to understand Dharma. We are still trying to utilize our precious time, even though we are very busy with importance, to fulfill different types of importance, different demands of our life, but yet still it is very fortunate that we are trying to have some time for Dharma as well. And it is indeed a very necessary thing for the development of our peace of mind, which is I believe that the most important thing in our life is to have a peaceful life, a peaceful mental state. So therefore, we are trying to understand the words of wisdom from Gampopa, try to understand all his wonderful teachings. So before we start today's session, let us generate loving kindness and compassion, and also pray the refuge prayers. Sangye Jodan Zoge Jonam La Jangjo Bardo Dane Gyapson Che Dage Jinso Gebe Sonam Ge Rola Benje Sangye Droparasho Sangye Jodan Zoge Jonam La Jangjo Bardo Dane Gyapson Che Dage Jinso Gebe Sonam Ge Rola Benje Sangye Droparasho Sangye Jodan Zoge Jonam La Jangjo Bardo Dane Gyapson Che Dagi Jinso Gebe Sonam Ge Dola Benje Sangi Ndo Bora Sho Semjen Tamje Dewa Dan Deve Gyudan Dembora Gyurje Donga Dan Donga Ge Gyudan Dawa Gyurje Donga Mebe Dewa Damba Dan Mindawa Gyurje Ngiren Jada Nidan Dave Nanyum Jembo La Nebora Gyurje Semjen Tamje Dewa Dan Deve Gyudan Dembora Gyurje Dungan dan dungan gen dan dawan gen dungan ben dawan damba dan mi dawan gen ren ja da ni dan dawen dan yan jen bola ne boran gyo je zem jen dam jen dawan dan dewen dan den boran gyo dungan dan dungan gen dan dawan gen dungan ben dawan damba dan mi dawan gen ren ja da ni dan da Tanyum Jembola Neborangyo Balden Zave Lama Rimbo Jen Dagi Juro Bene Densho Langa Den Jembo Gone Jesonde Gozon Doge Mudo Zando Zon Wana Namga Danyam Besim Jen Damja Lana Beba Yang Dabo Zobe Janju Gego Bangla Jine Gyango Barja Di Chedo Samba Janju Chodo To Gede Dambe Che Seshen Do Nyamso Lemba Jawo Nyamde Sembara Sho 대양 강sembar jawe choni gabder nyame Gampopa zebe tabu targin dingi shepherd chebayi. So to continue with where we stopped from last session, it is important that before any sessions of Dharma practice, either it is to listen to Dharma or to receive empowerments from your gurus, or to study the Dharma or contemplate or meditate, or do Idam practice or want to practice, whatever practices you do, it is always very, very important that you should examine your mind. You should examine your intention. Why are you doing this at the first place? So it is therefore all the teachers, they always encourage us to generate bodhicitta, develop loving kindness and compassion for all sentient beings equally. Because we believe that each and every sentient being has the wish to be happy, and they have the wish not to be suffer or not undergo sufferings. So with that reason, we should dedicate whatever we do for the benefit of sentient beings. So therefore, generations of bodhicitta is always very important, and all the time as a practitioner we should examine our motivation. For what purpose are we doing this practice of the Dharma? What is our intention? So if your intention is sometimes like self-centered or focus only for the benefit of yourself, which generally speaking is not bad, but then it is just very narrow-minded and it is just benefiting one being only. And if you understand that, well, we being in this samsara, especially in this human realm, it is very important in order to survive. We need to depend on different sources, different causes and conditions, different individuals, different society. So therefore, your own well-being should depend on so many other individuals' contribution. So therefore, if you wish, them to be good, them to have good health, them to have a good, kind and compassionate mind, then it, indirectly will benefit yourself as well, because we are living in this same world. There's no different planet that we can survive and go and escape and survive. So whether you like it or not, we should stay in this human realm, in this world. So it is your choice to make whether you want to live happily, friendly with your surrounding society, environment, or whether you would be, always very narrow-minded, very kind of cautious, very worrisome, or whether you want to live very happy life, peaceful life, compassionate life, sharing and being joyfulness with others. So obviously, we would like to have the pleasant life, joyfulness life, happy life. If you, as for example, we can examine ourselves in our day-to-day life. If someone do good to you, you always automatically feels happy. If someone smiles at you, if someone shows you a compassionate smile, it also makes your day, isn't it? When you are sometimes uncomfortable or you're worried or you're depressed, if some individual says, gives a good advice or encouragement advices, then it makes you feel better, isn't it? Or simply just seeing someone smiling at you with compassionate eyes, that also overwhelms your heart, it warms up your heart. So this is very important. So therefore, our teachers, they always encourage us to generate bodhicitta before our teaching practice, study practice. So therefore here again, I would like to request you to generate bodhicitta and to examine your intention while you are studying this text from Jewel Ornament of Gampopa, Gampopa's Jewel Ornament of Liberation. So to start, begin with today's session, we are continuing to understand the importance of perfections of meditative concentration, one among the 6 paramitas, which I have mentioned earlier, that which is very important, a key practice here in order to attain primordial wisdom, or in order to attain complete and perfect Buddhahood. We must have this meditative concentration as a base, as a foundation for all the Buddha's qualities, to attain all these different types of Buddha's qualities, including the clairvoyance, which can benefit so many beings if we have this particular achievement. So generally, when we talk about meditative concentration, as I mentioned earlier in the previous session, that the general understanding of meditative concentration is, the main objective of meditative concentration is to develop single-minded, directed to any particular item or particular thought or particular thing. So, well, in our day-to-day life, we have so many thoughts coming around, in our mind. Most of them are past, and most of them are future plannings. So because of this, we are always scattered. We are always agitated. Our minds are always involved in different types of thoughts, discursive thoughts. And this actually will not benefit us, actually. It will, distract our focuses. It will distract our aims, what we were supposed to do. So we will not, because of that distraction, because of not having power over your thoughts, then what happens is that you are always driven away by different thoughts. And when that occurs, those thoughts occurs, it will distract you. It will obstruct your particular practice or particular focus, so to speak. So when someone has a kind of experience of meditation, he or she will have less thoughts or will have more power over their mind, and then they can focus wherever they want to focus. They can place their mind wherever they want to place. Like in the meditation session, when we talk about inhaling and exhaling practice of meditation, or giving and taking Tonglen meditation, or simple as the Yidam Dadi meditation, we always need to focus. If you lose your focus, then your body is just there, but your mind is not there. So in other words, you are not really meditating, even though your bodily postures are perfect. Your bodily postures, the 7 postures of Vairocana are perfect. But then, if you are not able to control or control your mind, then these thousands of different thoughts will take place, which will interrupt your focus, interrupt your meditation, and which is not advisable. Then you are only wasting your time. Your body is there, just seem like doing meditation, but you are not focused. You have lost your focus, and you are driven away by so many thoughts of past and future. So therefore, this is very important. We should develop meditative concentration. It will only not from the dharmic point of view, also from the mundane, general, as a normal individual point of view as well. If you have some kind of meditative concentration or practice or experience in meditation, then you will work better. You will focus better in your planning, in your objectives, in your day-to-day life activities, duties, and so on and so forth. So therefore, it is very important for both normal, mundane life, mundane activities, as well as super mundane practice of the Dharma. So therefore, this paramita, the perfections of meditative concentration, is important. We should understand its definitions and different types of characteristics. What are the cause for this meditation? What are the beneficial effects of this meditation, and how it can, minimize your defilements? How you can place antidote, towards your defilements, negative afflictions and emotions. How you can tackle with your different emotions when you face different types of challenges, different types of obstacles in your day-to-day life, dealing with people or company, your business, your companion. So whatever situation it is always advisable for us to have some kind of experience in the meditation. Otherwise, you will be driven away by different thoughts, once after another thoughts. And when you are not able to control these thoughts, then you are always, slaves. You become slaves of thoughts. Then you act according to your thoughts. And most of the time, because of ignorance, we follow our anger. We follow our attachment, different defilements. And so we have less opportunity to, have forgiveness, develop loving kindness and compassion, to have a kind of mind that can appreciate someone's achievement. Rather, we will be driven away by different negative thoughts like aggressive jealousy, desire, envy, and so forth. So therefore, if you have meditation practice, then you will be able to see which is good for you, which is not good for you, which are suitable to adopt and which are not suitable to adopt, which should be avoided and which should be adopted. So this, when you have this clear, stable mind, then only you can decide. Otherwise, when you are overwhelmed, or when you are excited, or when you are, disappointed, when you're depressed, then you are not in the situation where you can really think and make clear kind of decision. So because of that reason, we always, most of the time, we make the unskillful, decisions. will always make wrong decisions, wrong judgments of others, and therefore it will suffer, bring lots of suffering to yourself as well as to others. So as I mentioned earlier, we always, because of not having control over our mind, not having this experience of keeping your mind in one place, or calm, abiding state of mind, then you are always distracted. And therefore, it's said that if you do not have meditative concentration, there's always chances that you'll be carried out by defilements. We call this maras in Buddhist terminology. Maras are always waiting for their chances to overpower you, to take your peace of mind away from you. And therefore, it is not suitable, it's not advisable for the practitioner to lose their control over their mind. Therefore, we always try to have control over our mind. And the best way to start or begin with is meditation. And there are also different types of meditation. Some meditations are just focusing on breathing exercises. Some meditations are focusing on the form, your own body, just not losing your body, the thought on your body, like how you look like, your body, your hands, your physical head and all. You're just focusing on your body. This is called placing your mind on your body. Because what happens usually, we say, I have my mind somewhere here. Sometimes here, I don't know where, but we always feel that we have our mind here. But then what happens is actually, no, it's always, flying over our heads. It's always somewhere there, always thinking, making lots of decisions, lots of judgments, lots of complaints. It's not really stabilizing. It's not really placing at one, stable condition. It's not there. It's always, like that's why the Yongke Mingyur Rinpoche said it's like monkey mind. It's always, active. It's always doing something. It's never stable. It is never stable because you don't have control over your mind. And if you do not have control over your mind, you become slave of your thoughts. And that is the risk where you can make lots of different wrong judgments, wrong physical and verbal actions. So therefore, we need to try to understand this, why it is important to have some kind of meditative concentration experiences. And to begin with, we need to focus on how we can bodily posture, mind posture, where we need to place our mind. There are different techniques. Like we have the technique of placing our mind on our body, just like I mentioned earlier. Then we also have placing our mind on our feelings. When you're feeling happy, just resting your mind on that happiness. When you feel suffer or anxiety or disturbed, then again try to focus on that particular emotion, rather than looking it cause externally, outside, but looking inwardly. When you get angry, how you get angry, where you get angry, where is this anger? So this kind of thing, you can place your mind on this. You need to give some duty to your own mind. Then it will listen to you. Otherwise, if you do not give a duty to your mind, then it will control you. So that's the difference. So Buddhist practitioner, Buddha have clearly said that it is very important to have some control over your mind. Buddha also said that if someone has a lot of thoughts going on in their mind, always wasting their time on thought after thoughts, then Buddha said we need to contemplate on breathing exercise to stabilize your mind, to place your mind into one kind of position. Okay? So there are many different translations for these perfections of meditative concentration, the fifth paramita. Some translated as tranquility, others translated them as concentration. Some says mental absorption. So whatever translation you want to use, but the meaning is that what you are trying to do is you're trying to develop a single-minded, not many thoughts, but one thought that is pointed to one particular thing, and especially to the virtuous thing. If it is involved in unvirtuous thing, then that's not so helpful. that is not beneficial for you or for others. So if you can place your mind in a positive thoughts, in the positive objects, then it is more healthier than the placing on the unfortunate thoughts. So we try to understand more of this. And to begin with, Gampopa said that in order to have meditative concentration, we should know what is this, its opposite, what is distracting, what is the obstacles of meditative concentration. And he said in his text that, there are different type of obstacles which will obstruct, interrupt our meditative concentration. And there are many, but generally there are two. Physical agitations and mental agitation. So we need to free from these two agitations. Physical agitations from, your retinue, your companion, your relatives, your friends, or you can just simply say you should be free from individuals where there's a great chances to develop desire, where there's a great chances to develop anger, where there's a great chances to develop envy, where there's great chances to develop pride, jealousy, and so forth. So if you are surrounded by this kind of individual, this kind of situation, this kind of society, then there's always risk that you will lose your moral ethics. There's always chances that you cannot abstain your body from killing, stealing. You cannot abstain your speech from, telling lies, gossiping, using discursive speeches. Likewise, there's always chances that you cannot abstain your mind from, ill wills, evil thoughts, harming others, planning to harm others, or simply, insulting others, and so forth. So for us as a beginner in meditation, it's always good that if you are able to distance yourself from such kind of circumstances, such kind of conditions, such kind of situation. So therefore, Gampopa advised us that we should distance ourselves from village and town, and we should go into retreat or into monastery or into mountain to have kind of good foundation for your meditation. And then when you avoid these distractions, and that is called solitude. And you should also know that what is the advantages of being in solitude. What are these advantages being in area where there's lots of chances to develop your desire and your anger. So if you can see this very clearly, just like things black and white on your table, then you can utilize, then you can use your brain own wisdom to which things to adopt and which things to avoid. So this is what he encouraged us to do. That's why he has, in his presentation, he said, oh, this is agitation, and this is solitude, and fault of agitation. These are the fault of agitation, and these are good qualities of being in solitude, and their different characteristics and their different causes. How one can experience difficulties. How can one experience good qualities of being in solitude, and how one can experience faults and shortcomings and non-virtues by being in area where there's lots of disturbance, where there's chances of developing your anger and attachment. So today, we continue of the solitude, which is the opposite of distraction. So yesterday, before we talk about the faults of agitation, primary characteristic of agitation and cause of agitation. And today we are going to understand the opposite of distraction, that is solitude. What is the primary characteristic of solitude? And what cause of solitude? And then what are good qualities of being in solitude, which are supportive, which are main supportive to your meditative concentration, to develop meditative concentration. Okay, so I'll read the text here from Gampopa's Jewel Ornament of Liberation. The primary characteristic of solitude is to be free from these agitations of being, with your retinues, friends, family members, relatives, wherever there's the chances of generating hatred, anger, jealousy, desire, and so forth. But even if you are surrounded by your relatives, friends, spouse, children, family, and if there's no chance to develop hatred, anger, and jealousy, then I think it's okay. But to find this kind of retinue, to find this kind of pure retinue, pure always thinking of virtuous kind of members is quite hard. So therefore, we say Sangha are very important. So when you say Sangha members, each and every individual in that group are thinking about virtues. Each and every one of these individuals in this Sangha group, they are focusing on the importance of meditative concentration. They are trying to utilize their time for the well-being of themselves and others. So if you are surrounded by this kind of pure visioned individuals, then I think you're safe. There's not big chances to develop hatred, jealousy, and desire, anger, and desire, and so forth. So here, the first one, the primary characteristic of solitude is being free from this kind of agitations, physical agitations. That means you're distancing yourself from these individuals and where there's a chances of getting involved in non-virtuous acts. Then second is the cause of solitude is to abide in the monastery by yourself. So where can you get this kind of solitude, this kind of freedom from this kind of those kind of agitation? And that's here he mentioned is in the monastery or retreat center or in the cave or where there's no much distraction. So these are the place. Okay, even if it is in the village, if there's no distractions, then there's also you should call a monastery or retreat center. Then the third one is good qualities of solitude. So when you are in solitude, when you can distance yourself from these different types of agitation, what is the beneficial effect of this? Here, Gampopa says, escaping from agitations and staying in monasteries or in a cave or retreat center for the sake of enlightenment, that's one objective, and to benefit sentient beings. Two objectives. We as a Dharma practitioner, especially as a Mahayana practitioner, we have two objectives. You should not forget this. When you give rise to your bodhicitta at the first place, where you have said that I would like to benefit all sentient beings. So in order to benefit all sentient beings, I myself need to attain Buddhahood. So these are two objectives, right? Attainment of enlightenment, complete and perfect enlightenment, and to benefit sentient beings. So these are our two objectives. So likewise here, if you are in solitude, then you will be able to fulfill these two objectives. So here, what are those qualities then? It is an excellent offering to all the Buddhas. So when you are in the retreat center or in the monastery or in the retreat caves or in holy places or places where there is no much agitation, where you can focus more on Dharma practice, where you can focus on developing loving kindness and compassion, then this kind of place, if you go there, It is like making an offering to all the Buddhas. It has the same merits, just like offering many things, flower, incense, butter, lamb, and so on to the Buddhas and Bodhisattvas. So this is one kind of good quality. Okay, so that is said here as in the definition, taking 7 steps towards monastery with the motivations to stay there with bodhicitta for the benefit of sentient being pleases all the Buddhas more than making offerings with the diversity of food, drink, flower, and so forth. So you see how much beneficial effects are there, how it is, more merits than the offering of diversity of flower, food, offering to the Buddha, just by walking 7 steps towards monastery, even not reaching there, for example, you say, oh, you have planned, that I want to go to retreat center, or I want to go to monastery to practice the Dharma, to meditate. You have all these plannings, and for that purpose, you have done some preparations, and then when the day comes, you want to go towards that direction. When you go, one step by other under 7 steps, then you have something came up that you cannot go. You need to cancel this trip. Even then, that 7 step, that preparation has much merits than the offering of diversity of food, flowers, incense to the Buddhas and Bodhisattvas. So that is how it is, as a result, as a good qualities or as a beneficial effects of being in the solitude. Because your intention is very pure there. Your intention is to attain enlightenment and to benefit sentient beings. So there's no kind of such a self-centered attitude involved. When there's no such a self-centered attitude involved, then it is, very open. It is for all. It benefits more beings. So therefore, it is considered as more merits than the offering of these different types of offerings, material offerings to Buddhas and Bodhisattvas. Because Buddhas and Bodhisattvas, they do not really, need flowers and incense and lights. What they really need is they want to see their followers following the Dharma, doing the meditation, benefiting sentient beings. If someone is really benefiting sentient beings, and if someone's really focusing on, minimizing their negative afflictions and emotions, and someone who is trying to develop their loving kindness and compassion, for those individuals, Buddhas and Bodhisattvas will be very pleased. That is why it is said, such people, Buddha will be more pleased than those who are just offering incense, thousands of incense, thousands of flowers, but then themselves they are not practicing any bodhicitta. They have more hatred, more anger, more desire. So those individuals, Buddha will not pleased at all. So this is one thing. As it said in the Moonlamp Sutra, victorious one is not honored by offerings of food and drink, or likewise of clothes, flowers, incense, and garlands. One will make great merits by taking 7 steps towards a monastery in order to benefit sentient beings by renouncing evil composite phenomena. So this kind of beneficial effects. Therefore, we should also encourage ourselves to spare time for your practice, spare time for your internal development of loving kindness and compassion. Spare time or make preparations for your Dharma practice, and also to benefit sentient beings. So this is one kind of good qualities among many others by being in the solitude. Second, here it says, one will renounce samsara and will be free from the 8 worldly concerns, and will not encourage the afflicting emotions. So this is the second type of good qualities of being in the solitude. If you are in the solitude retreat, if you are away from these physical agitations, then what happens is that you have more freedom, because you renounce samsara. Therefore, you become kind of yogis or ordained or who have, who are more interested in the practice of the Dharma, who are more, interested in the developing of loving kindness and compassion, generosity, forgiveness, than to involve with hatred, jealousy, competitions, So therefore, it is good that one can cut their involvement in the non-virtuous act. When you're in solitude, there's less chances to, involve in non-virtuous act, physically, verbally, and mentally even. So here it says that you will be free. One will be free from 8 worldly concerns. So this is very important to know. What are those 8 worldly concerns? So 8 worldly concerns are like gain and loss, pleasure and pain, fame and disgrace, criticism and praise. So these are worldly concerns. So in the world, in the general normal world, in mundane world, we always feel happy when someone praises us, and we always feel unhappy when someone criticizes us, naturally. Likewise, we always feel happy when we gain something, gain wealth or gain money, gain whatever it is. And when we lose something, we always feel sad. And we always feel happy when we have pleasure, sensation, experiences of pleasure, feeling of good. And we always feel suffering or pain, feeling of pain, body, mental pain, and physical pain. Likewise, we always feel happy when you have good fame. People, kind of respect you. You are well known. You are so famous and popular. But then we always feel unhappy that when people disgrace you, when people cheat you, when people disobey you. So these are the 8 worldly concerns. And if you are in the place where all these things have, all these 8 worldly concerns are placed as a great thing, great deal, a very important. If your society where you're living, the society is giving so much importance to these 8 worldly concerns, then there's the chances of being involved in non-virtuous thought, non-virtuous speech, non-virtuous physical actions. So when you are away from this physical agitation, then what happens is, when you're in solitude, you're free from these 8 worldly concerns, because you're alone there, or you don't have many people around you. Even though you have surrounding people, they are also having the same intentions of benefiting sentient beings and aiming for ultimate goal, ultimate achievement of Buddhahood. So they will not distract you. So these are the good qualities of being in solitude. In the solitude, in retreat, in mountain, in the monastery, we don't pay much attention on these things. Especially when there's a good, Sangha members around together. They always practice the Dharma. They always try to understand the Dharma and implement the Dharma into their day-to-day life. So someone praise them, they are not overwhelmed. If someone criticizes them, they're still okay, because they can see that this is just an empty word. They can see this has nothing to do, because they don't pay attention. They don't bother so much about these things, because they think that they have wasted so much time in earlier when they are in this surrounded by this kind of people in the physical agitation. So now they don't want to, and they renounce samsara, and they went into retreat center or monasteries or cave, and they really wanted to focus on their internal growth of loving kindness, compassion, understanding the ultimate nature of emptiness, and so forth. So when the people are in the retreat center, when all of those practitioners, if they don't pay any attention, if they don't give any importance to these 8 worldly concerns, then there's no any risk at all to be involved in non-virtuous act of physical or mental. So you will be free from these 8 worldly concerns. So this is second thing, second good quality here. As it says here in the second one, concerning renunciations of samsara, freedom from 8 worldly concerns, and the discouragement of afflicting emotions. And that same sutra says that likewise one will renounce all composite phenomena, one will have no desire for the worlds, and afflicting emotions will not increase. So this is how you can, minimize your negative afflictions and emotions and maximize or develop loving kindness and compassion, forgiveness, and so forth, all the good qualities. And the third good quality of being in the solitude is that he mentioned here is meditative concentration will arise. So in order to have meditative concentration, you need to, first, as an ordinary being, you need to distance yourself from physical agitations. So when you're in the retreat center or in the monastery or in the mountain caves, it will support your meditative concentration. That is why it says meditative concentration will arise. Here again, the third one says, principal objective of the increasing, to increase meditative concentration quickly. The same sutra said, be detached from village and city. This is how you can distance yourself from physical agitations or renouncing samsara. Always attends the forest and isolations. When someone is, has distanced themselves from village and city, then they always like to be in the retreat center or mountains. Like I mentioned earlier, that our forefathers, like Milarepa, Gampopa, Marba, and all so forth, all this, when you hear their in the song of realization, the dohas, they always praise these wonderful, retreat centers and mountain caves, because they can see that by being in these solitude areas, they can develop internal meditative concentration. But if you're being in city and town, there's always, less chances to develop your meditative concentration, because you're always, driven away by either by attachment or by anger. Attachment towards your loved and beloved ones, and anger towards those you don't like. Their attitude, their saying, their complaint, and whatsoever. So therefore, here it says that it is very good to be in the isolation. Always be alone like rhinoceroses. Before long, you will achieve supreme meditative concentration. So when you meditate, like story of Milarepa, how he attained Buddhahood in one lifetime, is all because of his meditative concentration. If he has not left his village, then he would have, he would have the same life of others, taking care of family, business, field, and will not have attained enlightenment. So, because of being in solitude and distancing himself from the village and town, renouncing the 8 worldly concerns, therefore he was able to persevere in meditative concentration. Thereby he was able to attain primordial wisdom, which is the final achievement of Buddhahood. So this explained how remaining in isolation from physical agitations. So this is the one obstacles of meditative concentration, physical agitation, and by being in isolation, the beneficial effects of by being in isolation. The next presentation is how we can isolate our mind from discursive thoughts. Well, yes, we have tried our level best to isolate this body from physical agitations. Therefore, you left your village and town, family, and you went to retreat center, mountain, caves. But then, is that enough? So Gampopa says, no, that's not enough at all. There's a second thing what we need to do, because you are free from one agitation, but you are not yet free from the second type of agitation. That is the agitations of discursive thoughts. which will, which will appear in your mind. So even though you have left your body from village and town and remain in isolation, but are you really practicing that? Are you really focusing on meditation? So that we need to examine ourselves. Are we concentrating on meditative concentration, try to think about Buddha's teachings, of impermanence, nature, suffering, nature of samsara, generating bodhicitta, loving kindness and compassion, or you're just thinking your family, friends, your company, your business, your name, your achievements, where you were in town and village. So that's different thing. So therefore, the second type of obstacle here is by being involved in different thoughts, even at the retreat center, even in the monastery, even at the retreat cave. So the second obstacle is we need to isolate our mind from discursive thoughts. Here he says, while staying in the monastery, contemplate why you are there. So always we should not forget, when you are in the retreat center, when you are in the Dharma center, when you are in the monastery, always think that why are you here? Why you were here at the first place? Why did you come here? You came here because you want to free yourself from these disturbance, these defilements, these eight worldly concerns, this unending, never-ending, effort to make your boss happy, to make your companion happy, to make your children happy, to make your husband and spouse happy, this never-ending task. So you get, renounce of this, trying to make things better all the time, but and then as being the nature of impermanence, it will break or it will lose its light or weight or qualities and so forth. And then at the end you are depressed, disappointed, and you are just alone there. So you have already denounced this. So you should remember that why you are at the retreat center, or just for weekend retreats, why you are there. You should always remind yourself why I am here, why I am paying this retreat fee, why I am paying this flight fees, why I am paying this hotel fees, and come here away from your hometown. And the purpose, you should not forget the purpose. Then if you know this, then you will not be lazy, or you will not lose your intention. Then you will not lose your diligence in the practice of the Dharma. Then you will not waste your time by thinking your family again while you are in retreat center. Okay, just give a break, from these worldly concerns. Give a break for few days, or even few weeks. Then you utilize this precious time at the retreat center or in the monastery for the purpose of enlightenment, for the purpose of being benefiting sentient beings, for the purpose of developing your internal growth of loving kindness, compassion, and meditative concentration. So here, that's why Gampopa said we always should remember why you are here in the monastery at the first place, thinking that you came here to this monastery because of fear of the disturbance, influence of the village and town. Influences, what kind of influences? Influences of eight worldly concerns, influences of jealousy, competition, hatred, anger, pride, all these things which are involved in the mundane level, in the ordinary human level. So you're tired of this, and you just want to take a break and try to distance from this unending situations. So recall why you fear the influences of agitation, and why you try to protect your mind, why you try to bring your mind into a very peaceful, stable, abiding state. The Householder's Request Sutra says, fearful and frightened by agitation, fearful and frightened by wealth and honor, fearful and frightened by evil friends, fearful and frightened by non-virtuous masters, fearful and frightened by desire, hatred, and ignorance, fearful and frightened by maras of skandhas, afflicting emotions, Lord of Death, and Devaputra, fearful and frightened by the hell realms, hungry ghosts, and animal realms. With this fear and fright, I escaped to this monastery. So this is how you can, recall your renunciation. Because if you be in the village and town, so there is this risks that will take place. The risks of involving in non-virtuous act. There are different types of fears and frightened that Gampopa mentioned here, which we, as individual with our own experiences, we can recall this in our own life. Take your life as an example. All these things that you have engaged, that you need to pay attention to, that you have lost, that you have got disappointed, that you are cheated, that you are criticized, that you are insulted. All these things in your life own experience, you can recall these things and try to renounce the samsara and try to attend and be in the retreat center without wasting your time, and try to focus on meditative concentration and benefiting sentient beings by developing loving kindness and compassion. That is why renunciation is also very, very important. As it's said in the Doji Changtongma prayer, we always do Mahamudra prayers. It says renunciation is the fruit of meditation. So if you want to have good meditative concentration, then first thing is you need to have good base. And the best good base or good foundation, that is the renunciation. If you renounce the 8 worldly concerns, then it will make, it will support your meditative concentration. Then it will make you to, avoid laziness and to concentrate and focus and be diligent into your practice of Dharma, of meditative concentration. Here, others are quite easy to understand, but I would like to focus more on these 4 maras. So if you are in the, surrounded by physical agitations, then there's a risk of this maras, there's the fear of these maras, of different obstacles. Here he says the first one, fearful and frightened by the maras of skandhas. What does this mean? This means that mara of skandhas is that our addiction to clinging of this form. We have this great desire of our body, this skandha, these aggregates. Therefore, we pay so much importance to our own body. And that is another one kind of disturbance, towards your meditative concentration. If you focus so much on your physical appearances. Later on, Gampopa will talk about you should not get too attached to your body. He'll talk about how you can meditate, to antidote those, as antidote, to remedy that attachment towards your physical form, appearances. So if you attach your form so much, if you pay so much attention to your physical body, and that is called mara of skandhas. Not only body, but then also your perceptions, your feeling. So if you pay so much attention and if you pay so much time and energy to protect this physical form and protect this, your feeling, oh, I must have happiness, I must not have suffering, my happiness is important than others, then you criticize others, then you disturb others' well-being, and you generate hatred. And when you see you are greater than others, or when you have a more better physical form than others, this pride will generate. And when you see someone else is better than you in the physical appearances, then you get jealous, and this is why it is called the maras, the disturbance, in your meditative concentration. It's a distraction actually. Likewise, my feeling is more important. I should have always the good food to taste. Others, I don't care, I don't bother. And because of that, you can see in this our own society, in this world, actually there are enough food for all human beings. But then what happens is, because of greed, some but individual has occupied so many foods, and because of that reason, the other individual are starving in hunger. So this big gap between the two. And why it happened? Because my feeling, my sensation is important. This kind of attitude, focusing on importance of your own sensation, focusing and having so much attached towards your feeling. Likewise, my perception, what I think should be followed by all, what I think is the best. My belief is the greatest, or is the superior than others. My idea is the greatest idea of all. So this kind of thing, is also distraction. It will not only disturb your mind, peace of mind, but also affects others. Definitely. So these are what we know as Mara of skandhas. Form, perception, feeling, and your own formation, your act. My activity is the greatest than others. My act should be renowned, honored, valued, not others. My company should have always A1 category, not others. This kind of attitude. Then my mind is the most important than others. So this kind of attitude towards self-centered attitude, of attachment towards yourself. This is known as the skandhas of maras, the mara of skandhas, which we need to, avoid in order to attain Buddhahood, in order to benefit sentient beings. Because if you stick on this mara of skandhas, then you cannot purify. You cannot benefit others, because you always pay yourself first, then others, which contradicts the teachings of the Mahayana. Mahayana teaching always says sentient beings before you, importance of sentient beings before you, benefiting others before you, changing yourself and others in lojong practice, if you remember. So these are very, very important teachings. Then we have this second type of obstacles is known as here the afflicting emotions. And what does this mean? The afflicting emotions, maras of afflicting emotions, our addictions to habitual patterns of negative emotions, hatred, jealousy, pride, stinginess, so on and so forth. So if you pay so much attention, or if you are run by these negative afflictions and emotions, then obviously you are not free. As I mentioned earlier, you're a slave of your own departments. You're not the owner of your own mind. Your mind controls you. So in Buddhist practice, we are trying to control our mind. You are trying to, able to place your mind wherever you wish. And especially, you can place your mind for the benefit of others. You can place this mind to work for the benefit of others. You can place this mind to work to minimize your negative afflictions and emotions. You can place this mind to, protect your body and speech from harmful acts. You can, place this mind to protect your disciplines, to give your precepts of not harming others from body, speech, and mind. So this is known as mara of afflicting emotions. So we need to free from this in order to practice Dharma, in order to benefit sentient beings, in order to attain perfect and complete enlightenment. Likewise, we have this third one, the maras of death. What is this? That means, fear of impermanence, death, So this kind of, if you are not free from not knowing the impermanence nature and sticking it with what you like, what you wished, what you attach to, then one day, as a matter of fact, this particular form that you attach so much, that you hold so much, that you value so much, that you want to do anything not to lose this particular form. But you can protect this form from other individuals, but you cannot protect this form from its own natural impermanence. That particular form will fade, will degenerate, will lose its qualities, power, brightness, colors, and one day it will, diminish, dissolved. So at that time, the more you have attached, the more disappointment you will get at that time. The less you have attachment towards that form, the less disappointment you will experience at that level. So that's why these are very important to know. To know beforehand is always better. Always good to have precautions. That's known as Mara of death. And then we have this Maras of Devaputra. And that is our addiction, our desire towards this external sense of sensual objects like form, sound, smell, taste, and texture. If you focus and give so much importance towards this, objects, external objects, then you are always driven away. You always want to fulfill, or uphold towards that sensual objects, important form, important, nice and pleasant form, pleasant sound, pleasant smell, pleasant taste, pleasant texture. But this so-called pleasant texture, sound, smell, these are also impermanence. They will change. They will not last forever. And again here, if you know this beforehand, it is always better. So therefore, when you know this, the faults of this and the true nature of this as an impermanence nature, then you will not pay so much attention towards this. And when you do not pay so much attention towards this, you have less attachment towards those things. And when you have less attachments towards those things, then if someone takes away their form, sound, smell from you, you are still okay. There's not much, hatred generating there. There's no so much anger being generated there. You can live in a equanimity kind of sensation, which is always advisable, which is always good. Overwhelming and disappointments are not stable at all. They are always, imbalance. So being neutral is always a pleasure thing. It has a longer lasting kind of experience of happiness. So we will stop here for today, trying to understand how we can, isolate our mind from discursive thoughts. So while you are in the retreat center, when you're physically present in the retreat center or monastery or holy site or pilgrimage, how you should be thinking, and not to lose your mental focus from this particular being, particular focus on your virtuous act. So we'll keep here for today and we'll continue in our next session. Thank you very much for participating, and we should now dedicate our meditations for the well-being of others and especially to heal this pandemic. Sonamde tamje zigba nye thobne nyebe danam pamje ne gega nache balap trobai sibe zole dowa resho jangjo simcho rimborche make panam kegiroche keba nyamba meba Gongne gongdo pewar sho semje neba jingye ba nyutu nele takyo je dove nene maluba tado jungwa me bara sho